Welcome to Milltown Speed. I'm Brian and this is another engine showcase video. This particular engine here is for sale, and we do a video like this for every engine that we sell to give you an in-depth look at the engine as well as allow you to hear and watch it run on our test stand before you buy it. Although we don't rebuild or remanufacture engines, our process of cleaning, inspecting, testing, and fixing if necessary should give you some confidence that the used engine that you're buying is going to work great in your project. It'll also protect you from spending big bucks on a new crate motor or risking time and treasure on a junkyard mystery motor. So this particular engine here is stock number 353005. That's the number that you're going to want to remember and give to us if you're interested in this. We have a bunch of engines here, so that kind of keeps things straight for us. This particular engine is a 5.3 Gen 3 aluminum block L33, which I love, and I want to keep this for myself, but I gotta sell it because I have to make money. So it's an L33, and if you know anything about these, they came out of 2005 to 2007-ish, half-ton pickup trucks, Silverados, things like that. And they were pretty rare. I think like 10 or 15% of the Silverados actually got this option, but it's the HO53. It's aluminum block, so you're saving weight. It's got flat top pistons, it's got better rods, it's got great flowing LS6 heads on it, all from the factory in this great package. We've redone the wiring harness on this, we've replaced lifters and a bunch of other parts. So I will run through that here in a minute. All right, this engine came to us with 140,000 miles on it, and it's being sold as a level 3 package, which means you're getting a wiring harness, you're getting a PCM that's programmed to your specifications, you're getting as much as you can get from us, the fuse block, the throttle pedal, the tack module, as much as we can give you to get this to run as easily as possible in your project. That's what you're going to get from us. For more information on exactly what's included in a level 3 kit, go to muletownSpeed.com. There is an engines level explained page on there that goes through all of the different things that are included. So we're going to do a walk around, we're going to test run this, and then at the end you'll get all of our contact info and shipping info and all that kind of stuff. So let's get to it. All right, let's spin this pig. Actually, before I do that, let's do a quick walk around on this L33 just to kind of show you what's going on here. If you don't know a lot about L33s, it's essentially the HO version of the standard 5.3 that came in pickup trucks from 2005 to sometime in 2007 they switched over, but basically this is kind of like the best parts of the Gen 3 stuff with some of the new cool parts from the Gen 4 stuff, basically put together to make a pretty awesome aluminum block 5.3. So these come with, from the factory, with the Gen 4 upgraded rods. They're stronger, they handle, whatever, 750 horsepower instead of, everyone says 500 is kind of the limit, or 550 is kind of the limit with a Gen 3 rod. Again, that's all kind of how you use it, but it has upgraded rods in it, which is awesome. They've already done that for us. They've also bumped the compression up because they're using the flat top pistons from the 4.8 because it shares the same bore as a 5.3. So this particular one has because it's an L33, has flat top pistons, it's got the better rods in it, and it has 799 heads, which are like a 243 head. It's an LS6 cylinder head. It came on the Corvettes, and it is the best flowing cathedral port factory provided cylinder head that you can get. So without taking these off and porting them or going to an aftermarket cathedral port, that's as good as you're going to get. Let's see, what other upgrades did they do here? So there's a bump in compression with those flat top pistons, and to compensate for that, they also put a different camshaft in these. It's not that much different. I don't have the specs off the top of my head, but it is an improvement over the standard LM7, just run-of-the-mill iron block Gen 3 5.3. So that's kind of cool. Let's see here. Factory changes, factory upgrades. You can tell one of these, it's a Gen 3 because it just because of where things are on the engine. But one cool thing that you can quickly spot are the 13mm bolt heads on the exhaust manifold instead of the 10s that supposedly made them stronger. I still am not, I'm not convinced because they still break whenever I take them apart. This has a returnless fuel system, which basically means that you get one barb here at the intake, and you are to provide fuel pump pressure that is regulated and returned to the tank before it gets to this point. So my trick is to take one of these Corvette fuel filter regulator and filter combos. These are 60 bucks. It physically snaps right onto the rail. And then behind it, you've got your standard feed and return here that go back to your tank. So instead of these two hooking up to what would be the fuel rail that has the more conventional fuel pressure regulator on it, this just goes right into this. This handles the fuel pressure regulating and the filtering, and then gives you a nice clean whoop-de-doo up to your rails. So that's kind of cool. This has the cool finned, like cooling finned coils on it, which I think everybody wants. I haven't really noticed a difference on this one, but whatever. So as far as like upgrades, obviously, you know, aluminum block, which is, I think they say, you know, 60 pounds or 80 pounds, or I've heard 100 pounds lighter than an iron block. It's definitely lighter pushing it around the shop, I'll tell you that. Let's see. This particular one comes from Muletown Speed as what we call level 3, which is basically the locked and loaded. It's got everything on it that we can give you to get you going on your engine swap. So all the accessories, belts, water pump, got a power steering pump here that's just looped here for testing. You've got a full harness with a fuse block with fuses and a PCM that's programmed for this engine. And then if there's something specific on your, say for instance you wanted to run electric fans, then we could set those up for you in the PCM before you take it, and that way you'd set up exactly how you want. This comes with exhaust manifolds. Obviously these pipes are mine for my test platform, but you will get a set of, these are new front O2 sensors. Rear O2 sensors have been deleted, as well as all the other emissions stuff. Your evap purge valve thing that goes right in the intake manifold here, that is gone, and this is now an inlet air temperature sensor. That used to be on the mass airflow sensor, which no longer exists. So that makes that much easier. One less thing to have to plumb. And let's see, you get your water pump. If you want AC, I do have AC brackets that I can provide, AC belts I can provide. So just let me know if you want those. But let's see, as far as work we've done to this engine, let's talk about that. When I first had this on the engine stand, this is not the first time I've had it on my test stand here. When I first had it on the test stand, it had a lot of lifter noise. So I tore the heads off, tore the lifters out. I also flipped it over and actually pulled the pan and looked at the rod bearings, and those looked really, really good. So I knew we were good to go there. But the lifters were not in the best shape, and the sound that they made agreed with that. So we replaced it with a brand new set of LS7 lifters. Those never really seemed to fail me, at least not yet. So we got a set of LS7 lifters in there. We've got a new set of Felpro multi-layer steel head gaskets in there on both sides, and we put this thing all back together, and it runs great, and you'll hear it in a minute. One other thing you'll notice here is that normally a factory wiring harness comes up from here and it goes over the intake, and it kind of is like a Medusa, and it kind of has tentacles that runs all over top of the intake and goes all over the place. The big thing that I hated on those is that they had a big chunk that came underneath the front of the pan here to come up to go to the AC, and then to some stuff down here for like the starter and stuff. I wanted to try redoing the harness. It's a factory harness, but I made quite a few changes and obviously re-loomed it. So you can see it's got the nice braided loom on it, but there's no wiring on top except for your plug in the back there, and everything is tucked underneath the fuel rails as best as possible. The main harness piece here still goes off of the driver's side to your PCM and your fuse block, but you have quite a bit more room now to put these where you want to on your vehicle. But you can see here all of the injector wires are kind of tucked in, and then all of like the business end is all kind of tucked back in the back where it's a little bit more difficult to see. So you still got oil pressure, which is a new oil pressure sensor. The cam position and stuff is back there, but this harness loops around the back here and gets the job done. All of the grounds are now consolidated to one spot, so if you have a grounding problem, you know where to check first. Obviously, you still have to ground the engine to your frame, to your chassis, and back to your battery, but you've got now one ground instead of three, which is a standard deal. On the back of the harness, there are two extensions, one on the left side and one on the right side, just like on a factory harness, but the rear O2 sensor has been removed, and you're left with just 3 plugs for your automatic transmission. This will work with a 4L60, 4L80 with a very few pin changes in these connectors to get it to work right with the 4L80, but there's plenty of info on the internet on how to do that, or just ask me and I can tell you. And then on the passenger side here, the only thing sticking off the back is an extension here for the front O2 sensor. So if you want to run, long tubes or whatever, you've got enough room to do that. There. Let's see. So I've got a bunch of extra time and kind of working through all this harness stuff, and I think I like it. I think I'll do it again. It might not be something that's standard on all of these engines, but it might be available as like an upgrade if you want to get like the Milltown Speed harness tuck or something. I might be able to provide that as a service for a little bit extra. This one is, since it's a 2005 or 6, it has a drive-by-wire, which means it has a tack module and goes up to a throttle pedal. This and the tack module and the harness that goes in between the two, that's all included in this. You're not going to have to go out and find a bunch of random parts and worry about what works together and what isn't, because there are different pedals that don't all talk to each other, as well as modules and throttle bodies. They all kind of have to talk together, so that makes that easy. You do get a fuse block set up with fuses ready to go, and the connection to that is really easy. So those are the fuses that are needed, and some of them aren't even needed, but those are the ones that I usually just throw in there. Fuses and relays, and then you've got your power wire coming in here. That's the big battery wire to provide power to all of these things. And then there's one key switch wire on the back here that goes into a separate plug that is basically your key switch power. So that's really it. That's all you need to do to get this to talk to your harness and your PCM, or your PCM, with just this one big harness plug that plugs into the back of that. Let's see. This obviously has new spark plugs, new oil filter. I threw on a set of brand new spark plug wires. So it's got the 2 new oxygen sensors, all the lifters, new head gaskets, spark plug wire set, spark plugs, the oil pressure sensor, oil filter, oil, exhaust gaskets. So that's your list of stuff we put into this. Shut up, Brian, and run the engine. All right, got it. Let's run the engine. All right, so we're in our HP Tuners scanner here. We're going to connect to this guy. Okay, we're going to start the scan. All right, so right away, our PCM is on, but our engine is not running. So you can see coolant temp 63, air inlet temp 68, so it's a cold engine. not cold like 32 like it was this morning, but this is the first I've been able to get out here and get going. So we are logging. Got our oil pressure, our map, and okay, and then we've got 12.3 volts here on our battery. Hit our fuel pump, we'll crank it, and here we go. See, oil pressure is good. Once it warms up, it'll come down a little bit, but oil pressure looks real good. It's already settling down. I set the RPM, the idle RPM, to 700 RPM, so that'll do its thing here as it comes down, and then we will slowly start to see coolant temp come up. You can see right now our O2 sensors are, since we're still in open loop, they're just going to kind of hang out for a while. So 13.4 volts, so you can see it is charging. Nice and quiet. Sounds real good. Even on a cold start, there's no smoke. Seems to be running pretty well. Nothing leaking. Everything's nice and dry. This has a automatic transmission flex plate on it. You can see those new O2 sensors there working away. So the plugs that you see here, these are the two plugs for the AC compressor. So that's not on this particular engine, but it would bolt right here, and then it would run on this shiv with a separate belt. Super easy to add if you want to add one, but you've got your plugs here that come from up there instead of coming around the bottom of the engine here, getting in the way, getting tangled up and torn and broken, whatever. It's a much cleaner deal. So map is at 30-31. That's really good. So that's completely standard for what we see. We're letting engines idle without throttle closed. Nice 700 RPM. You can see now our O2 sensors are switching back and forth. So if we're not in closed loop yet, we should be close. 68 degrees, 120 degrees coolant temp. Let's look at our open loop, closed loop. Yeah, we're still in open loop because it's still warming up, but it'll kind of let the short-term fuel trims do their thing, and then once it goes to closed loop, then it'll start actually changing the long terms, and then you'll see the larger changes in your fuel delivery based on those, if it needs it. Like right now, short terms are close to 0 if you can read that. So there's really not much to change just because this thing is tuned in so well. So let's let this warm up. Sounds great. No lifter ticking or knocking or anything anymore. Those lifters did the trick. You can actually hear the injectors firing over the lifters. just to prove that this is an aluminum block, we've got our magnet here. No sticky, but it sticks to that, right? No sticky. No sticky. Very much aluminum. That was a 4800. Let's want to listen to it here go up. $150 degrees now. Alright, one thing real quick I wanted to show on this, I forgot to show you the O2 sensors working in closed loop. So if we go over, sorry, stand by, and look at our closed loop control here. Where's it at? Here we go. You can see fuel system status, closed loop normal, and you can see here our fuel trims are darn near 0, which is a good thing. You want plus or minus 5 or less to really, that means that your tune is such that the computer is having to correct very little, if anything at all, to correct for the fuel mixture based on feedback from the O2 sensors. And you can see here they're switching, so they're switching pretty good. They're brand new, so I'd expect that, but anyway, I just wanted to show you that. 73 degrees, 198 degrees here, so we're finally got the thing warmed up. It takes a while with this big radiator on the test stand, but yesterday I had this thing at 207 degrees with the fan on, and it was just staying consistent right there at 207, no problems. It could have ran there all day long if I really wanted to heat up the shop. So that I think is it. I don't know what else to go over because this is this thing's kick butt, man. This is going to be fun for somebody. Again, I wish I could keep it, but somebody else needs this because I need to get it out of the shop. I got too many engines here. All right, we'll call it right there. Shut the log off. If you're interested in this motor, all of our contact info is on the right side of the screen here. Get in touch with us or visit our website, milltownspeed.com. We're located in southern Middle Tennessee, so we're about an hour south of Nashville, near Columbia. That's Muletown Speed. We do offer shipping, so if you're not close to us and you can't come and pick the engine up, which is option 1, you've got 2 other options. If you're within about 150 miles, we'll put it in the Muletown Speed truck and we'll deliver it to you for a small fee, depending on mileage. The other option that you have is freight shipping. We've got a good relationship with FedEx Freight. They do a good job of shipping engines to your local dock for very reasonable fees. So let us know if that's an option for you. We can get you a quote on getting that engine to you. So all of this info, as well as other engines that we have for sale currently, can be found at milltownspeed.com. That's where you'll go to find all of our contact info, all of our engines, as well as a bunch of other stuff that we've got over there. So milltownspeed.com. This is this L33 353005. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.